Let's be real, anime series with overpowered protagonists aren't a rare thing one bit in this day and age. Every other seasonal lineup features shows that are full of those hotshots ready to take over everything by their over-the-top, ridiculous power levels that are just absurd most of the time. But some anime characters still tend to play the maverick role, trying to keep it low-key when it comes to those monstrous power levels and skill sets that could make any other character go, wow, in an instant. So, let's sit back, relax, and have a look at some sneaky characters we have here. Battle game in 5 seconds. You see, when it comes to these battle royale, free-for-all brawls where a bunch of anime characters are put next to each other just to have that last man standing, the indisputable winner walk out of that farce alive, it's usually the protagonist who ends up getting the shortest end of the stick, or, in other cases, a personality that takes away most of the fun the game has to offer. But that's where Battle Game in 5 Seconds stands apart from the rest of these titles. The whole unexpected, unpredictable plot setting to boot, and the characters to do those fancy little tricks, those stunts with. We all can agree that we weren't expecting the main man like Akira to hit the screen in this one, cause boy, is the character something else. As absurd as the whole opening sequence of the show was, and despite the audience literally thrashing and kicking down the anime even when we had way worse shows that season, it's safe to say that Akira was one of the reasons that made people watch the show, at least for the most part. Plus, the show doesn't really stop at just making the guy shine brighter than the rest, since all these other faces are there for a reason as well. Peach Boy Riverside. In case you thought that Huzuki no Rotetsu was the only ultra-human demon everything mix we had in anime, then think again, for this year had a different candidate for that spot. A show where all these different species are ready to go at each other's throats the entire time wouldn't be the best place for a girl like Sally to hang around in, especially when she's totally ignorant of the fact that the world isn't the way she's viewed it since day one. But the show isn't going to give her that much of a handicap now, is it? With the power to transform and literally become something no less of a Super Saiyan by her own free will, bouts in combat wouldn't be something the girl would be running away from, and it won't be wrong to say that it's usually the other side taking those measures into consideration. But the girl's goal isn't to butcher anything that's not human, unlike a certain someone we're searching for, since she's a harbinger of peace and well-being between the different kinds that walk the face of the planet. But with the two sides, the two superhumans, and the two leads being totally different from each other, how would the story progress and turn out in the end? Cause boy, do we have an interesting start here. Classroom Crisis. Hyping up a character only for him to turn out something totally unexpected and nothing less of the word asshole, we seem to be having one of the most wonderful first episodes we've had in a while, huh, Chief? With the anime being super high on physics and NASA and the codenames making sure you're half asleep the entire time the show's playing on your screen, Classroom Crisis isn't an ordinary title by any means. With the bubbly characters of the institution and that eccentric transfer student come secrets and mysteries that are ready to blow every viewer away in an instant, since the way the show starts with such humble beginnings and manages to introduce so much in such a short amount of time is enough to pique anyone's interest, even if it's a title that can be a lot more than just confusing at times. Kaido has to work hard if he's to prevent all his efforts up until this day to go to waste, since Nagisa is here to put an end to it all. And with the two sides working leaps and bounds to make their own vision, their own perception become the reality everyone knows tomorrow, it's going to be a battle of wits and a psychological warfare unlike any you've ever seen before. Plus, with politics kicking in as well, this one might be a bit spicy after all. Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life? Quite contrary to what everyone thinks, life can be quite a nightmare for a celebrity, with them having no personal space at all. Such is the case of Misato Kurihara, for she's just too famous for her own good and her character is the main reason to blame for that. Having no time to breathe and always having people admiring her like there's no tomorrow, she sure wants a change, and that transition to an ordinary life might be what the anime gives her a lot sooner than expected. Now reincarnated as Adele von Asham in a mythical fantasy world that we fell in love with at first sight, things aren't quite adding up when it comes to her wish and the reality of the universe she's a part of. one of the nobles, life's only gonna be harder for the poor girl who just wants to view the world with the eyes of a person who doesn't have to worry about a bunch of people eyeing her down 24/7. Taking matters into her own hand and enrolling in an institution far away, one could vision her attaining that peace of mind soon enough, to be honest. But when you're the very, very strongest among a bunch of commoners and normal human beings, is that really going to be possible? We all know the answer to that, but it'll totally be worth finding it out for yourself. Tales of Symphonia, the animation. The Blast from the Past is here to teach the newbies how RPG is animated. Based on the popular video game series that we used to play back in the day, having Ufotable to top it all off is the best combination any fan could ask for. With two worlds in existence and the balance depending upon the existence of one at the cost of destruction of the other, things aren't looking good one bit and a solution must be sought. That's where the whole anime comes in, and with the whole RPG theme in place, ready to make you remember the nostalgia that would make your eyes light up is just the most wonderful thing there is. Going on adventures while battling monsters all the while, you see a side to the video game universe you couldn't see on the console, and that ends up making the experience all the more unforgettable. From returning faces to new ones making their impact through the show as Ufotable makes sure each and every one of the characters shines at their very best, gives the show that perfect finishing touch that guarantees its survival even ages after. I mean, you can still pick it up and watch it without getting bored one bit, since it holds its ground pretty well when compared to the rest of these RPG kings we have in the scene today. The Disastrous Life of Saiki K.
生後1ヶ月で歩くことができた。それも空中を。
Espers and psychics in anime have always been people who are ready to make those brain circuits go total boom in a mere blink at most. But we all can agree that when Kageyama Shigeo and Saiki Kuso are compared, choosing sides isn't even a question, cause it's a no-brainer no matter how you think at it. Having abilities that take an entire 50 plus episodes to explain while still having tricks up his sleeve, it's good that Saiki K is a comedy gag series and not a battle one, since my god would the bouts be totally one-sided. Getting another one Psych Man from anime isn't something we are super looking forward to. In my opinion, the best selling point about the series as a whole has always been its cast of characters, with new ones being added every other episode or so, preventing things from ever getting bland one bit. Saiki is there to make that jaw hit the floor as hard as it can. He's stopping a volcano from erupting or just making furniture float around the house cause his parents end up being a little too indecisive at times. Avoiding girls, reading minds, and helping others has never been any more fun, since the show is one of the most different shows there are out there when it comes to the comedy alone.